Formula shortage rages on with no end in sight.
First tonight, though, we are under a code red weather alert. That means there's potential for severe storms, and the heat is nearing triple digits. Let's go out to Natalie now. So how hot are we talking about here over the next few days here?
Well, it's going to be a combination of the heat and the humidity, bringing heat index values climbing into the triple digits. That's why we have a heat advisory for our southwestern counties. This is from 1 p.m. until 8 p.m. tomorrow. So that does include Montgomery County, Warren, Preble, and Butler counties. Heat index values climbing to around 104 for tomorrow afternoon. Now, along with the heat, we're also talking about the potential for severe storms. So we're going to monitor for storms to develop later tomorrow afternoon and evening. We have a level 2 threat for severe storms for the entire Miami Valley. So we're going to monitor those entering the area by later into the day. All modes of severe weather possible. So that's why we have that code red weather alert. Damaging winds would be our primary concern. Isolated tornado is a potential to large hail and of course that dangerous heat. Coming up, I'm timing out that storm system and when we'll expect its impacts.
Natalie, thanks. COVID-19 cases are increasing in the Miami Valley, but there's new hope on the science front for second-generation vaccines. That new and improved vaccine could be more aggressive at fighting Omicron variants. So bring Caswell here in studio tonight. What can you tell us about that fourth shot?
Adam, the FDA has approved a fourth booster shot for adults that are 50 years old and older. So now this is the first generation of vaccines, and this is to help protect older adults in the fall because experts are predicting a possible big wave of COVID-19 expected to happen in the fall. And right now the FDA is looking at authorizing a fourth shot for those 50 and below, but that hasn't been decided yet. And when those second generation shots, which experts are working on right now to develop, when those will come out is still to be determined.
Now, Montgomery County announced they're at a high level of transmission. What are the county health experts saying about the guidelines maybe being reinstated now?
Now, Adam, I did ask county health officials today whether they were thinking about reinstating those mask mandates, and they didn't give me a direct answer on that. But they did tell me they are recommending mask wearing in public spaces, and they are asking residents to follow current CDC guidelines. So again, coming up tonight at 10:11, I'll have more details on this. So stick around. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks so much, Bryn. The Ohio Supreme Court has rejected a second Republican-drawn map of the U.S. House districts as gerrymandered today. They're now going to send them back to the General Assembly for a third attempt to meet constitutional parameters approved by Ohio voters. They have 30 days to act. If lawmakers fail again, the debate will return yet again to the redistricting panel, whose multiple maps of legislative and congressional districts have yet to make it through the court.
Live look at the CDC's monkeypox tracker now. The U.S. nearing 2,000 cases of the virus. So far, 43 states, Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico have confirmed cases. Ohio has 7. New York and California, they have the most. 33,000 doses of the vaccine for monkeypox are headed to New York to help with that outbreak. Anyone can get monkeypox, but it's predominantly spreading among gay and bisexual men.
A live look at the Capitol building now, where the House will vote soon to codify rights to same-sex marriage. This comes after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade last month, getting rid of the constitutional rights of an abortion. Many people fear that the same could happen to marriage rights for same-sex couples because Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his opinion that the court should revisit the matter. The House will also vote later this week on a bill that would protect the rights of couples to use contraception without government restriction, also mentioned by Thomas in his opinion.
And a live look at the White House right now, where President Biden has issued an executive order to prevent U.S. citizens from being wrongfully detained abroad. So this will allow federal agencies to sanction whoever holds Americans captive and U.S. officials to keep families of the detained better informed. It also adds new risk indicators to people traveling to countries like Russia, China, Venezuela, and Iran. Now, we're not sure if this will impact the status of Americans currently being jailed in foreign countries. This comes after increased pressure from families of Americans imprisoned overseas, like Paul Whelan and WNBA star Brittany Griner, who's undergoing trial in Russia right now.
New updates tonight on a story we brought you as breaking news last week. We now know the name of the man who disappeared in Buck Creek on Snyder Park Road last Friday. The Clark County Coroner's Office tells us he is 38-year-old Jeremy Craycraft of Springfield. His body was pulled from the water Friday afternoon. Now, fire officials tell us Craycraft entered a section of the Rapids area and never resurfaced. That incident remains under investigation.
The House of Representatives passing the Bipartisan Formula Act Friday to suspend tariffs on imported baby formula until the end of the year. Now, while it now awaits a Senate vote, the baby formula shortage is still taking its toll across the nation and right here in the Miami Valley as well. Allison Walker live now after speaking exclusively with Dayton Children's Hospital. So, Allison, what are they saying about all this?
Well, Adam, they tell me while area stores' formula stocks have improved, they say it's still impacting local families as they're continuing to have to travel to find their children the correct brands. They say that amino acid-based baby formulas, which can only be purchased in pharmacies, are now extremely difficult to come by, and that's why Dayton Children's is working directly with wholesalers to get it.
Still able to provide what we need to the babies that are hospitalized. But we keep a close monitoring of our specialties, like the amino acid-based formulas. Again, we're keeping a close eye on those and how often we've been able to actually get shipments in. I wouldn't recommend just choosing anything off the shelf for a baby that has an amino acid-based formula, because those are not going to be the same nutrition and not as broken down as these. So there could be like intolerance, like increased spit up, diarrhea.
So right there, we just heard what can happen if children don't get their specialized formula. Allison, what's being done about that?
Yes, well, the Biden administration is expecting large shipments of amino acid-based baby formulas from Switzerland this Friday. And Abbott, the company which manufactures an amino acid-based formula, ALEXIS, just recently reopened after being shut down. And they're expecting to begin shipping ALEXIS out again in the next coming weeks. But be sure to tune in tonight at 6:30 on Fox 45 to learn about when experts project this baby formula shortage could end.
All right, thanks so much, Allison. Shaky ground in Columbus tonight. The remains of this three-story building that partially collapsed late yesterday morning are still shifting and are extremely unstable. So the rest of that building obviously has to come down. But when is that going to happen? And who's ultimately responsible for the demolition? Tom Bosco digs for answers.
Guys, one thing we do not know is a cause for why this building behind me here on the east side of Columbus fell yesterday. In fact, Columbus firefighters tell us that they may never really know a cause, and since there were no injuries or fatalities, there's really no reason to find out exactly what the reason is for that collapse here yesterday. One thing we do know, however, is that this is scheduled to be demolished tomorrow. Crews that are going to be doing that demolishing told me they're going to be here tomorrow afternoon around 3:30 to start taking the rest of this building down. And one more thing I don't know is why the owner of this building ran from my camera today when I tried to ask him a few questions about it. He owns one other building in town. It's not facing any criminal charges or anything like that. Why he didn't want to answer questions, just don't know. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Tom. A few big updates out of the January 6th committee hearings. Adam is at the Now desk. This involves COVID and some potentially key witnesses, right?
That's right. So the committee chairman, Benny Thompson, says he tested positive today for COVID. He has mild symptoms. He says he's isolating. The committee made it clear, though, the hearing Thursday will happen. It's not clear yet if Thompson will participate virtually. Now, the other big piece of news tonight is that 2 former White House aides are expected to testify Thursday. Now, that includes the former Deputy National Security Advisor, Matthew Pottinger, and former press aide Sarah Matthews. Both resigned after January 6th. This could also be the final hearing.
Well, a Delaware judge has rejected Elon Musk's attempt to delay Twitter's lawsuit against him. Now the trial will begin in October. It's because of a fight over the $44 billion takeover that was in the works. Musk is trying to end the deal, accusing the social media platform of lying about the number of spam accounts it has. Twitter denies those claims and is suing to force Musk to finish the deal. The company is also accusing Musk of using delay tactics to hurt Twitter's reputation. And a historic barn destroyed by the 2019 Memorial Day tornadoes has been officially restored. A ribbon-cutting ceremony is just about to happen, celebrating the Tobias Zimmer barn in Beaver Creek. Now, this has been 3 years in the making. This barn was originally built in 1858 and was donated to the city in 1996. What you see today is a historically accurate replica and is going to be used as an educational space, gathering place, and historic representation of early life in Beaver Creek. A local architecture firm and the Beaver Creek Historical Society worked together to make the barn historically accurate.
Well, it's a question on many people's minds. How long will gas prices keep dropping? How the White House's next moves could affect you this fall.
And the biggest investment in state history is set to move forward after Congress makes a move. What they've been waiting for up next.
And tracking the heat as well as our risk for severe storms for our Wednesday that's coming up. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
weather window presented by the National Weather Desk.
A purple sunset over Nashville. Several factors caused this unique color to appear, including sun angle, cloud deck, and even dust particles and pollen. A beautiful and peaceful morning at Garden City Pier just south of Myrtle Beach. That towering storm you see is more than 40 miles offshore. And as heat grips much of the nation, this boy is thrilled to cool off in the Gulf of Mexico.
Follow the National Weather Desk on your favorite social media platform.
If you filled up your gas tank in the past week, you've probably noticed we're seeing some relief at last. But is it going to stay? Some energy experts say we could be paying a lot more by fall even, because many countries, including the U.S., are considering even stricter sanctions on Russia's oil exports. And that means the price of oil could catapult again.
Nobody can see reliably around the corner when it comes to those prices. Don't pay a lot of attention to those forecasts.
It's a big part of people's monthly budget, and we've got to do everything we can. There are not that many tools that work.
Coming up at 6:30 on Fox 45, we're going to break down the numbers we're all predicted to face, plus how this is all taking a big toll on President Biden's time in office.
Look over Logan County today from our Dayton 24/7 Now Sky View. A gorgeous green day, but boy, it was hot. So when I go back to Natalie, and it sounds like the heat's here to stay at least for a little while, Natalie.
Back in the heat, especially for our day tomorrow. That's the hottest day over these next 7 days. We have a heat advisory that does include Montgomery County. For right now, it is hot and it is humid. Temperatures are in the 80s. Feels like temperatures, they're in the 90s. We have 86 in Greenville, 87 in Dayton, 89 in Troy right now. So feeling the heat, feeling the humidity, and then by tomorrow afternoon, we're going to feel it even more. Take a look at this. Future feels like temperatures soaring up into the triple digits by tomorrow afternoon. This is what it's going to feel like to you. So limit your time outside. Take plenty of breaks if you are going to be working out in the heat. Of course, drink lots of water. Check on your neighbors, your relatives too. And of course, don't forget about your pets. Make sure that they are nice and cool and inside the AC as well. With quiet conditions out there right now, we have mostly clear skies across the area. Some of those cumulus clouds have started to develop for us, but our next weather maker is off to our northwest. We have an area of low pressure and a cold front that's going to begin to push its way in, increasing our thunderstorm chances for the day tomorrow. So there are still some uncertainties with this. Right now, we will have a very warm, moist, and unstable air mass set up by tomorrow afternoon. The one uncertainty is when those storms, or if those storms, are going to develop right over our area. So we're going to have to monitor that very closely, but just know that our atmosphere is going to be conducive for those stronger storms. Now, this is indicating around 7 p.m. a line of storms making its way into the area, continuing to track that with our severe potential by late tomorrow evening. Right now, timing looks around 6 p.m. to around midnight or so before those storms push off to the east, and we see some quieter weather by the end of the week. I'm going to talk about after that cold front, how cool our temperatures will be coming up.
Natalie, thanks. Britain has just shattered its record for the highest temperature ever registered twice. Surrey recorded temps over 102 degrees before noon today. Then 2 hours later, Heathrow Airport hit more than 104 degrees. Forecasters warn this extreme heat wave could get worse, disrupting travel, healthcare, and schools in a country that's pretty ill prepared for such extremes. In fact, many buildings don't even have air conditioning. People everywhere saying this is a real wake-up call for climate change concerns. It's triggered several wildfires and hundreds of heat-related deaths all across Europe.
Heat is also now the #1 cause of weather-related deaths in the U.S., too. As we're under a code red weather alert here in Dayton, more than 100 million people across the country are under heat alerts in about 20 states. So we've learned President Biden could declare a national climate emergency. We're told he'll make some sort of announcement tomorrow. The president considering an executive order which would allow his administration to take broader action, use government resources to tackle climate-related issues. That includes funding mitigation efforts and strengthening regulations.
Tonight, Intel could be one step closer to starting construction on its Licking County site. The company has delayed construction until Congress passes the CHIPS Act. ALEXIS MOBERGER joins us now and tells us how lawmakers could be taking a vote soon.
If all goes as planned, Congress will soon start voting on the CHIPS Act funding, which will impact the Intel plant here in Licking County. Intel delayed the groundbreaking ceremony on its $20 billion project earlier this year to protest the slow passage of the CHIPS Act. The bill would include $52 billion to rebuild the U.S. semiconductor industry, as well as tax incentives for companies to build plants in the United States. After the Senate vote, it will then go on to the House of Representatives to decide if they push through that CHIPS Act funding. They're hoping to get it all done before the August 8th recess. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Alexis. The Department of Justice just coming down on Uber. Adam is at the Now desk. What's happening?
So Uber settled with the DOJ recently. They'll now have to offer several $1 million to some disabled users. The DOJ says Uber wrongfully charged more than 65,000 users with wait time fees to passengers with physical disabilities. So that fee usually starts 2 minutes after a driver gets to a pickup location and until the car trip starts. Well, Uber says it's already had a policy to refund wait time fees if riders with disabilities told them about the charge. The company says it modified their policy shortly before that lawsuit was filed.
A story from our partners now at the Dayton Business Journal. A new child care center at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is one step closer to construction. That's because the House passed a defense bill which includes $29 million for a school-aged child center at Wright-Pat. Now, the total amount secured for these facilities at the base is now $53 million over the past 2 years. The center is going to be around 41,000 square feet, house around 300 children, and include force protection features plus outdoor sheltered play areas. And we have all the details for you right now on Dayton247now.com. You can find this story plus others like it right there under the Dayton Business Journal heading in the News tab.
Live look from our Kettering Health Sky Cam now. Mostly blue skies. I guess a few clouds there, too. It is hot out, Natalie, and it sounds like that's going to be the story for at least the next few days.
Yeah, heat and humidity in store for us tomorrow. Feels like temperatures in the triple digits, followed by the chance for storms tomorrow afternoon. So we do have that level 2 threat for severe storms for the entire Miami Valley by tomorrow afternoon into the late evening hours. So just stay weather aware. We'll be keeping you up to date with the latest through late tomorrow afternoon into the evening hours as a cold front does begin to make its way in. So behind that cold front, really not too cool. We drop into the mid 80s, which will actually be right at normal for this time of the year, but then we heat right back up. We're talking lower 90s with the humidity sticking with us through the end of the week and the weekend too. So even after that cold front moving through, we have an above normal temperature trend sticking with us through the upcoming weekend. So as far as getting out to mow the lawn, doing any yard work, looking pretty good for Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It will be hot. If you want to get out early tomorrow morning before it really starts to heat up, that'll be your best bet for our Wednesday before the chance for storms and it heats up even more. Coming up, I have a look at that 7-day with the rest of our forecast.
Natalie, thanks. The final episode of our true crime podcast is now live. Still ahead, where you can listen to it, plus how you'll be able to find exclusive behind the scenes content. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The 6th and final episode of our Missing Erica Baker podcast is out right now. Nathan Edwards shows us how you can listen to that series and shows you where you can find some exclusive extra content.
Well, now all 6 episodes of Missing Erica Baker podcast are live on all podcasting providers. You see it right here. So you can binge the entire series. The newest episode called A Case That Will Never Go Cold. You can watch it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as well. Also right now on Facebook, Bryn and I are answering your questions about the Missing Erica Baker podcast. We go into in depth about, our final questions about the investigation moving forward. And last but not least, we have web exclusives up on our website, Dayton247now.com. You can see Elise and I's conversation about episode 6 today. Also, there's videos from Christian Gabriel's search at Huffman Dam, also the phone calls from jail, and the van tour as well. So head over there. Make sure you binge our podcast on all podcast providers.
Nathan, thanks. And you can listen to all 6 episodes of our Missing Erica Baker podcast, as he mentioned, right now. In fact, if you'd like, you can scan this QR code with your phone. It'll take you to our website, Dayton247now.com, where you'll find links to the podcast, plus all those extra and exclusive web extras that Nathan mentioned. Missing Erica Baker, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Well, tracking heat and humidity as well as the severe storm potential for our day on Wednesday. That's why we have our code red weather alert. We stay quiet overnight, temperatures falling into the lower 70s. By tomorrow, we'll track a line of some storms potentially moving in late into the evening. Now, there is the potential that we really don't see much in the way of development, but as of right now, with our atmosphere potentially conducive for damaging wind gusts, some large hail, isolated tornado risk, we're going to monitor for these storms to develop by late tomorrow afternoon and evening. This is about 7 p.m. into the late evening, about 9 p.m. or so. Those storms will be pushing out of the region, and we have slightly cooler air back in store for us on Thursday with our high temperatures back in the mid to upper 80s. Slightly more comfortable humidity, but still really just a hot forecast over these next 7 days. So 90s tomorrow. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and then stay weather aware for the evening with the potential for those severe storms in the forecast. Mid 80s on Thursday, back in the 90s by this weekend, and it looks like around Sunday, Monday time frame, we'll have another cold front to make its way in to bring us a chance for rain and storms, slightly cooler by the middle of next week.
All right, maybe a good time for a dog walk, but now we have some more doggone cute news. Every day, our morning show features a dog of the day, and one particular pup, Milo, was very excited to see himself on the big screen. Anita Woolley Blakely sharing his reaction to seeing himself on air. Let's take a look. I'm not sure he's excited about it.
Right. He's wagging his tail, but it sounds a little aggressive.
Watch how he's like, all right, I'm over it now. Not on anymore.
Very
I think
sweet.
we all feel that way sometimes.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was early in the morning, too. He's probably just like,
It is a really cute segment if you miss it in the morning for the morning show. Very cute. Well, thank you very much for watching tonight. We are over on Fox 45 next. We hope you join us there. In the meantime, you can always connect with us on social media. Have a good rest of your evening. Good night.